I heard something the other day that was like microplastics still present in most of our food. Yep. Cool. Thanks for the reminder. Do you have a solution? No, just bringing it up? Great, appreciate that.
You eat them, you drink them, you even breathe them. We've all heard the alarming headlines about microplastics.
Scientists say tiny pieces of plastic floating everywhere. They're in the air, the dirt, the water.
The statistic that we ingest a credit card's worth of plastic every week has become almost common knowledge. A little excessive, but...
Now think about that. Over a year, 52 cards worth of plastic going into our bodies.
But the big question has always been, so what? Where is it going and what is it actually doing to us? Well, new research is finally providing the answers, and it's showing that the damage goes much deeper than we thought, impacting the very foundations of our structural health.
When you're sitting in your living room and there's a ray of light and you can see all the particles in the light, a lot of those are probably plastic.
So in this video, we're breaking down the new science, including a shocking discovery about where these plastics are ending up inside us, what it means for your long-term health, and the practical steps that you can take. For returning viewers, thank you for your support. Do me a solid and give the video a like and leave a comment to appease the algorithm. If you are a new visitor, welcome to the channel where you leave smarter than when you arrived. Watch the video first, and if you learned anything, join our army of intelligent interns learning about health and science at the end. And don't forget to subscribe with notifications so that you can be alerted when I post content that you'll enjoy. That said, let's get into it.
Well, we can't avoid them at this point.
We can't, but we can. That's the thing. We can
Counterpoint.
For sure. But
Counterpoint,
also,
what if
yes,
we can?
There's an insidious invasion happening right now. But what are these microplastics? Well, quite literally, they're very tiny plastic fragments, smaller than 5 millimeters, so about the size of a sesame seed. But the truth is, most are completely invisible to the naked eye.
And you can't see them at all.
But you can see them through the microscope.
They come in two main types. Primary microplastics are intentionally small, like the old microbeads in cosmetics. Secondary are what most of us create from the breakdown of larger items, like single-use plastics and synthetic fabrics, to the surprising, like tire dust on roads, and even paint chipping off old buildings and blowing into the wind.
Syringes, the tubing, and a lot of instruments, even the OR, we use plastic.
And the key point is this: they're not one single chemical, but a cocktail of polymers and additives. And the reason this chemical cocktail is circulating everywhere is precisely because the source material, plastic, is cheap, versatile, and woven into the fabric of everything we make and use. This scale of the problem is almost impossible to grasp. But as Dr. Brad Weening explains, the numbers are staggering.
Do you know how many pounds of plastic were made last year in our world? 880 billion pounds of plastic. That, for me, when I saw that number, I was like, wow. And then they tried to estimate the amount of plastic that ever in history has been recycled, and they said 9%. I thought that was maybe a bit high, actually.
Right.
But that is a staggering amount of plastic that's just ending up just sitting around doing nothing, taking up space and causing problems.
And that 91% of plastic waste doesn't disappear. It breaks down, creating a global soup of particles. As researcher Kara Wiggins describes, these particles have become a permanent part of our atmosphere.
All the plastic we use gets broken down by friction or even melting and ends up in the air.
They end up being so small that they're lightweight and they can just float through air currents and wind.
It all goes into our food where it circles right back to us.
Everything from on land into the ocean comes back to humans, and it's just all a kind of a circular, interconnected world.
This endless cycle of breakdown and contamination creates three direct pathways into our bodies: through the air we breathe, the water we drink, both tap and bottled, and the food we eat, from seafood to salt.
Studies have shown in very rural, remote communities that do not produce any plastic because of bioaccumulation and water contamination, even those people have plastic.
Yes, even those people who try their hardest to avoid the pollutants of modern life, even they can't completely escape it.
What are the lids made of?
The lids are a form of plastic.
And since most of us don't, we're deep in the thick of it in our own homes.
And here's where I get crazy.
They don't go in the dishwasher?
They do not go in the dishwasher. They do not go in the microwave.
And your kitchen is a major exposure zone where hundreds of minuscule particles can lurk in your food. In fact, Our consumption of these particles has increased sixfold since 1990. Just the simple act of tearing open a plastic package can release a whole cloud of these particles. And if your cookware is all scratched up, like your favorite non-stick pan or that old plastic cutting board, it's constantly shedding tiny plastic bits, with some boards releasing up to 50 grams of the stuff a year. Heat makes everything worse. Microwaving your leftovers in that plastic tub releases millions, even billions of particles, and putting hot food or anything acidic in plastic speeds up that breakdown big time. And of course, bottled water is a huge source, worsened just by screwing the cap on and off, while tap water globally is also contaminated.
If you drink from plastic water bottles regularly, if you eat from plastic bags and out of plastic containers often, and if you wear clothes made of polyester, spandex, nylon, yes, all those popular yoga pants, well, that's also sending microplastics into your body.
So it's not just about litter, it's a cycle. We make it, we use it, it breaks down, and we consume it. The question is, once it's inside us, what then?
The latest research shows microplastics have been discovered in our lungs and in our blood.
This proves they don't just pass through our digestive system and out. The smallest particles can cross from our gut into our bloodstream, hitchhiking to every part of the body. But that's not the only way in.
It's a new study. It found microplastics in the olfactory bulb of multiple people, I understand, during autopsies. Yes.
We also breathe them in. From our lungs, they can enter the blood, or more directly, particles lodged in our nose can travel straight up the olfactory nerve, which is like a direct highway into the brain, completely bypassing the blood-brain barrier. As Eric Berg outlines,
the brain accumulates the most microplastics of all of the organs. The brain accumulates 7 to 30 times more microplastics than the liver and the kidneys. In one report that I saw, an average person has 7 grams of plastic in their brain.
Research from the University of New Mexico shows us just how fast this is happening. In the study, they found a 50% increase of microplastics in our brains in just the last 8 years. And when they looked further, they discovered up to 10 times the amount in the brains of dementia patients. A strong suggestion that microplastic accumulation could be linked to neurodegenerative disease.
When I read the study about it being in the brains of people with Alzheimer's, I was like, you know what? Why do I have anything plastic in my kitchen when there is a glass alternative?
It seems our bodies aren't reacting well to plastic taking up permanent residence. Not in the brain, not elsewhere. And we're seeing this play out in real time.
Polyethylene was detected in carotid artery plaque in 58.4% of the patients. And other plastics were found in there too.
Yep.
Plastics in your plaque.
Once they're in our tissues, they cause harm through what I call a 2-punch attack. Punch 1 is physical irritation. Think of these particles as tiny, sharp shards. On a microscopic level, they poke and grind at our cells. This physical damage triggers our body's defense system, causing chronic inflammation and a damaging process called oxidative stress. This is a key driver behind low-grade systemic issues that can affect our metabolism and overall health.
Obesity and type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance.
Punch 2 is chemical leaching. The plastics themselves are a cocktail of additives. Things like BPA and phthalates, many of which are known endocrine disruptors. They can mess with our hormones, potentially affecting fertility, development, and even cancer risk. The danger, as Dr. Paul Zalzal simply puts it, is that these are foreign entities inside our bodies.
Right. Whenever we have these man-made chemicals in our body, we are at risk of cancer because they're not natural. Our body doesn't know how to react to them. It can trick our cells into becoming cancerous cells.
And if that wasn't enough, these particles also act as a Trojan horse, carrying other toxic chemicals and pathogens deep into our cells.
Wow, a giant wooden horse. What a wonderful present. I should bring this into the city so that everyone can enjoy it.
And the big unknown is the long-term effect of this. While the science is still emerging, the early findings are deeply concerning. And now, some of the most groundbreaking research is revealing how this invasion is targeting the very framework of our body, our skeleton. It started with a landmark study early this year that, for the first time, confirmed that microplastics are accumulating inside human skeletal tissues. In our bones, our cartilage, and most abundantly in the intervertebral discs of our spine, the cushions between the spinal bones themselves. Then, hot on its heels, a major review of over 60 studies, many in animals, pinpointed how they are actively sabotaging our bones. The research reveals a kind of cellular sabotage. On one front, they weaken the builders. Microplastics reduce the function of osteoblasts, the cells responsible for forming new, strong bone. At the same time, and this is more alarming, they empower the breakers. The plastics appear to stimulate the formation and activity of osteoclasts, the cells that break down old bone tissue. As one lead researcher, Dr. Rodrigo Bueno de Oliveira put it, microplastics impair cell viability, accelerate aging, and promote inflammation. Overall, this double whammy leads to a deterioration of the bone's strong, spongy architecture, resulting in weaker, more brittle bones. The researchers suggest this could be a significant and previously overlooked factor in the global rise of osteoporosis.
Yeah, I think everybody's worried about like microplastics and everything. Recent studies have revealed that glass bottles now contain significantly more microplastics than plastic bottles.
Thank you so much. I did not know that I was going to get an education here. Thank you.
But the damage doesn't stop at the hard bone. Inside the bone, they impair your mesenchymal stem cells, the master cells that are supposed to repair and maintain your bones and cartilage. It's like damaging the very factory that produces the repair crew. Now, one of my nicknames is Broken Bones, and fixing fractures is what I do. But my real goal is to keep you out of my clinic and out of my OR. Preventing injuries is always the priority, which is why seeing this research is so concerning. As much as I love my job, I'd rather you never need it. The microplastics we consume disrupt our gut, and the resulting body-wide inflammation travels back to weaken our bones. And we have to remember, the damage we're seeing in our own bodies is just a reflection of what's happening in the wider world. It's in the soil, stunting plant growth, and harming the earthworms that keep it healthy. And as they burrow, they actually spread the microplastics deeper, further contaminating the entire ecosystem. It's also in our oceans, from the smallest plankton to the largest whales, causing internal blockages, starvation, and reproductive collapse of marine life. The plastic we discard breaks down, contaminates the environment, enters the food chain, and ultimately finds its way right back onto our plates and into our own bodies. And look, facing this can feel overwhelming, but the goal isn't perfection, it's mindfulness.
And I definitely feel like it's like one of those you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube kind of problems like we talked about with homelessness and the justice system.
You're probably asking, how do I get rid of them?
All deserve to be paid $1 million by Big Plastic for the damage they've done.
Let me be clear. There's no quick fix, detox, or magic pill. Anyone claiming that is selling you something.
I'm unsure if it's possible for me to have a child. I've had too many Pop-Tarts to say confidently that I could have. I just feel like I'm riddled with microplastics. We're all riddled with microplastics, okay?
We can't eliminate microplastics, but we can drastically reduce our exposure and support our body's ability to cope. It's about upgrading your body's built-in detoxification systems, our internal cleanup crew.
There is a type of lymphatic system in our brain. It's like a dishwasher. It helps clean up stuff. That system really occurs when you're getting a really good amount of deep sleep.
Deep sleep is when your body flushes out metabolic byproducts and potentially other toxins. Prioritizing 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep isn't just for feeling rested, it's fundamental for giving your brain a chance to clean house nightly. Second, activate your cellular cleanup mode. This is a natural process called autophagy, where your cells seek out and recycle damaged components. While direct human studies on autophagy and microplastics are still emerging, we know that practices like intermittent fasting, for example, Eric Berg suggests a 16 to 18 hour fasting window, and I myself practice a 12 to 16 window, are a powerful natural trigger for this process.
How's it going down there, liver? Well, we're out of glycogen, but we're into ketosis, and for fuel, we're burning maximum body fat.
However, The key here is intermittent, extremely long fasts can actually be counterproductive and even self-destructive.
Hunger says you didn't investigate enough, Brain. That this kind of fasting is not good. It can produce irritability, anxiety, sleep problems, lack of concentration, headaches.
And third, we can build a strong internal defense to actively combat microplastics.
It creates a lot of oxidative stress, which you can counter if you have strong antioxidant systems in the body.
Focus on foods rich in sulfur and other potent antioxidants. That means loading up on garlic, onions, and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale. These help your body neutralize the damaging molecules that microplastics generate. Ultimately, by prioritizing these kinds of fundamental habits, quality sleep, strategic fasting, and an antioxidant-rich diet, you're not detoxing. You're systemically upgrading your body's innate resilience to handle the modern world. And while we support our bodies from the inside, the most powerful strategy is reducing the amount coming in. Start with water. Switch to tap water where safe and use a simple carbon filter pitcher, which can remove 90% of microplastics. For food prep, make a habit of rinsing your rice and washing meat and fish. Choose fresh whole foods over ultra-processed ones, which have far more plastic contact points. And please, ditch damaged plastic. Replace scratched chopping boards, worn containers, and damaged utensils, as these shed massive amounts of particles. When it comes to cooking and storage, here's a good rule of thumb. Keep heat and plastics separate.
How about like Tupperwares?
Glass.
That means no microwaving plastic and no hot food in plastic containers. Your best bet is to use glass or stainless steel. Around the home, opt for natural fibers like cotton and wool over synthetics like polyester, and dust and vacuum regularly, as microplastics settle in household dust.
The big scam about plastic recycling as simply a way to get you to keep buying plastic.
Recycling is expensive and labor intensive, and making new plastic from fossil fuels is almost always cheaper forever. Plastic industry documents clearly concluded that there were no effective market mechanisms for mixed plastic, and that there is serious doubt that it can ever be made viable on an economic basis.
And that brings me to a critical point. The most eco-friendly thing you can do is not to panic and throw all your plastic out. That just creates more waste. Use what you have until it needs replacing, then choose a non-plastic alternative. This is a marathon, not a sprint. The changes we make in our homes, even if they seem small, truly do add up. But we have to be honest with ourselves. This problem is bigger than any one of us. We've gotten ourselves into a bind with a system that isn't currently set up to support our health.
There's an assumption that the products we buy are safe, and that that if there was a chemical that was toxic, well, of course, it shouldn't be in your water bottle or my couch. There are over 80,000 chemicals in commerce. Very few have been tested for health and safety. We don't follow the precautionary principle. We allow companies to put these chemicals in commerce. And then if we, the scientists, find out it's harmful, they take it out. But what happens is they often replace the toxic chemical with a chemical cousin that's just as toxic.
This creates a frustrating game of chemical whack-a-mole, as Professor Joseph Allen from Harvard calls it. He points out that this is exactly what happened with BPA, where well-meaning consumers avoided it only to end up with alternatives that weren't much safer. We often just swap one problem chemical for another. The reality is, even if you do everything right, microplastics are already in our environment. The data shows it would take a massive 90% global reduction in plastic debris just to cut our consumption in half in the most affected areas. This tells us we can't solve this by looking in our own kitchens alone. The path forward involves supporting smarter policies and material science, like the work Professor Allen's team is doing, to reduce plastic production at the source and invest in genuinely safer alternatives. It's a big challenge, no doubt. But by understanding how this issue connects our personal health to the health of our planet, we can make smarter choices for ourselves and advocate for a healthier world for everyone.
Do you think I'm afraid of microplastics? Do you have any idea how many corners of ketchup packets are floating around inside my body right now? The microplastics will be consumed by the macroplastics.
Thanks for joining me in this discussion about microplastics. Let's wrap it up with a roundtable analysis from you, the intern army. What do you think about microplastics? Are you doing anything to avoid your exposure? Let me know in the comments. And be sure to join my intern army and click on your notifications if you want to catch my uploads every Monday morning. Don't forget to follow my gym, Huba 2.0 Fitness, for free right here on YouTube, where we post content that helps you move better and prevent injury, or its sister channel, Human at Home, where we show you how to be healthy in the space where you live. Otherwise, as always, that's been a word from Dr. Chris Raynor, not your everyday ortho, where we see one, do one, teach one.